Okay, we will begin. Your Majesties, ministers, ambassadors, parliamentarians, and honored guests. Hello and welcome. Bonjour et bienvenue. Привіт і ласкаво розуму. І hey, welcome. I'm Senator Stanley Couture. It's a privilege to welcome all of you here today as a demonstration of the Canada-Sweden strategic partnership in action in support of Ukraine. These are countries which are committed to the values underlying democratic governance, the sovereignty of states, and the international rule of law. We also want to recognize the vital contributions of the Canadian-Ukrainian community and to recognize and reaffirm our determination for the rapid and just war to Russia's invasion of Ukraine and for the return and rehabilitation of Ukrainian children stolen by Russia. To begin our event, it is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, the Canadian Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Anita Anand.
Well, thank you so much, Senator Couture, and hello, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you all here, and of course, to welcome their Majesties here to Canada. Shall we start by giving them a hand? Welcome. Donc, aussi, je pourrais commencer avec notre land acknowledgement. We do this routinely at public events in honor of reconciliation. And so I'll begin by acknowledging that we are gathered on the traditional territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation, and we honor the enduring strength and resilience of Indigenous peoples who have protected their lands, languages, and cultures despite generations of adversity. This resilience resonates deeply as we stand in solidarity with the people of Ukraine, who continue to defend their sovereignty and identity in the face of illegal and unjustifiable Russian aggression. It is my honor to welcome Their Majesties King Carl XVI, Gustaf, and Queen Silvia of Sweden. I've had the honor of speaking with them earlier, and we are just so pleased to see you here on a bright, sunny Ottawa afternoon, and I'm sure that this is similar weather that you have in Sweden as well. Also, Deputy Prime Minister Ebba, Busch, welcome. His Excellency Andrei Plahotniuk, we're here. Ambassador of Ukraine, Valerie Kostyuk, Executive Director of the Canada-Ukraine Foundation, Ihor Mikhailishin, Executive Director of the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress, James Temerty, founder of the Temerty Foundation, as well as Leah Temerty-Lord, Managing Director of the Foundation, and Christina Waller, Director of Ukrainian Initiatives for the Foundation. My colleague and friend, Chrystia Freeland, had wanted to be here, but she's unable to be with us this afternoon. She is Canada's special representative for Ukraine's reconstruction, and I wanted to send a special hello on her behalf. Donc, nous nous réjouissons de l'occasion qui est donnée à nos trois pays de se réunir dans un esprit d'amitié et de solidarité. Premièrement, le Canada et la Suède sont fiers d'approfondir leur collaboration dans le cadre de leur partenariat stratégique qui souligne leur engagement commun à soutenir l'Ukraine. Today, we celebrate not only the enduring bonds between Canada, Sweden, and Ukraine, but also our cooperation and shared vision for the future. Our partnership with Sweden is rich and extensive, and you're all in this room because you recognize that together, Canada and Sweden have work to do collaboratively with Ukraine. And we are going to have an afternoon of very interesting and insightful conversation. I wanted just to take a moment and mention 4 things that we are working on together, Canada and Sweden, for Ukraine. Together, we contribute to the vital Partnership Fund for a Resilient Ukraine. Together, we ensure that this multi-donor initiative delivers critical support to Ukraine's most war-affected communities on a vast range of issues. Together, we make sure that that fund prioritizes the protection and safe reintegration of children forcibly transferred and deported by Russia. I would like to just mention that those verbs really downplay what's happening. Those are child abductions. They're illegal, and those children are subject to indoctrination when they are stolen from their mothers and fathers. We'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. The fund that we together are contributing to backs projects that rebuilds schools, restores health services, and delivers vital psychological support. And now to the children. As a mother of 4 myself, I am very focused as foreign minister on the need to ensure that Ukrainian children forcibly abducted and stolen are returned. Canada co-chairs the International Coalition for the Return of Ukrainian Children. And Your Majesty, I first met you when we were in New York at the event that we hosted with President Zelensky on the return of Ukrainian children. And it's just wonderful to see you back here. Uniting 44 partners is what the coalition does. And it unites these partners to bring children home to their families and loved ones. Since the start of the full-scale invasion, over 1,700 children have been returned. That is not large enough as a number. That is just the start. The process remains slow. The need is urgent. That is why earlier this month at the G7, in meeting with Ukraine's Minister of Foreign Affairs and my friend, Andrei Sybiha, I confirmed that Canada will host an international conference on the return of Ukrainian children in 2026. And you're all invited, because as we approach the United Nations World Children's Day on November 20th, we are reminded that no child should ever be a pawn in war. Today, we are taking this opportunity to announce a joint co-chair statement for the International Coalition for the Return of Ukrainian Children. This joint statement calls unequivocally for the immediate and safe return and reintegration of Ukrainian children who have been unlawfully stolen by Russia. And we invite coalition member states and partner organizations to endorse this statement and reaffirm their commitment to advocate for these children and to stand united against their deportation and indoctrination. Every child deserves safety, family, and hope. Let us commit together to supporting Ukraine's freedom, Ukraine's resilience, and above all, its children, its future. I look forward to our discussion. Merci, Diakiu, Tak. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Anand. Thank you very much. It's now my pleasure to introduce Deputy Prime Minister Busch and to ask her to please give remarks on behalf of Sweden.
Thank you so much, Your Majesties, Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear Canadian friends, dear friends of Ukraine. It truly is an honor to take part in this discussion on the Canada-Sweden Strategic Partnership and Action, and to do so here in Canada at a moment where our joint support for a resilient Ukraine has never been more important. Every morning, the people of Ukraine still wake up to the sound of air raid sirens. I spoke to some of my colleagues still living in Kiev just a few days ago about the last few days' very aggressive raids from Russia. This has been their daily reality for what is now almost 4 years, a reality defined by destruction, but also courage and an unshakable will to resist. Russia believed Ukraine would fall in a matter of days. They believed the West would not stand united. They believed Ukraine longed for a return to the Russian Empire. They were wrong on every single point. The Ukrainian people long only for one thing: freedom. For Sweden, the matter is therefore clear. We will support Ukraine for as long as it takes. We reaffirm our unwavering support for Ukraine's independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity, and we will continue to strengthen that support. Compared to last year, Sweden has doubled its civilian assistance to Ukraine, now over 840 million euro, or about 1.40 billion Canadian dollar. So you don't have to do the math. We've done it for you. With special focus on the energy sector. And I say this proudly as minister responsible specifically also for energy issues. Since February 2022, Sweden has contributed around 10 billion in different support schemes for Ukraine. Today, I can to present a new package of 23 million euro to the Nordic Green Recovery Program for Ukraine. That is the first news of today. We welcome the new EU measures to end Europe's dependence on Russian fossil fuels, including the ban on LNG imports, limiting Russia's war machine through sanctions, justice, and accountability remains essential. Today, I am also pleased to inform you that Sweden endorses the joint statement of the International Coalition for the Return of Ukrainian Children. This also in honor of the UN's World Children's Day on the 20th of November later this week. As a member of the coalition, Sweden wishes to acknowledge the tireless work of our co-chairs, of course, Ukraine and Canada. We are grateful to all states, organizations, and humanitarian partners who work to bring forcibly transferred and deported children back home. Sweden will continue to support these efforts until every Ukrainian child is returned with their families in their own countries. I have 2 children also of my own back home, an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. And it's difficult to try to explain to a 10-year-old who's now gotten a best friend in some of the Ukrainian children that have come to Sweden as refugees, that there are so many Ukrainian children who are not living in safety at the moment, not even with their own mothers and fathers. Our cooperation extends beyond diplomacy. Canada and Sweden are demonstrating what practical solidarity looks like. A powerful example of this, if I may, is actually Westinghouse nuclear fuel facility in Sweden in the city of Västerås. Now owned jointly by the Canadian companies Brookfield and Cameco. Today, this plant supplies fuel to every former Soviet reactor in Europe and in Ukraine, Together, we are strengthening Europe's energy security, reducing dependence on Russia, and giving Ukraine the tools it needs to stand resilient, both in war and in peace. Because we know without energy, there is no industry, and without industry, there is no defense, and without defense, there is no sovereignty. So, Swedish tanks, armored vehicles, combat boats, recoilless rifles, and AVAX aircrafts are already making a real difference in Ukraine. We are putting action behind our words. Last month, Ukraine signed a deal aiming to buy 150 Gripen fighter jets from Sweden. Ukraine sets a good example in this area, I think. Just putting that as a tip. And looking ahead, our partnership will only grow stronger. Sweden's support for Ukraine is our highest foreign policy priority. And as we join NATO, thank you for the strong Canadian support on our membership, we deepen our strategic alignment with Canada in defense, in energy resilience, and in our commitment to democracy and human dignity. So to all Ukrainians who continue to fight, who continue to hope, let me say, justice will be served. Ukraine will win. And one day, freedom song will echo from the Carpathians to the shores of the Black Sea, in Mariupol, in Crimea, and even in the streets of Moscow. Slava Ukraini. Thank you.
Deputy Prime Minister, thank you very much for your cogent remarks. And Minister Anand, thank you very much. And I think that this is an incredible example to see these two mothers, mothers first, ministers second, standing before us, resolving to protect children. This issue that you have raised is an issue that needs much more of our support because we have to achieve those wanted results. I would be remiss if I did not mention that in June of this year, the Senate of Canada passed a motion condemning Russia's attacks on Ukrainian children and calling for all countries who are members of the International Coalition for the Return of Ukrainian Children to increase their efforts to repatriate, rehabilitate, and reintegrate. Repatriate, rehabilitate, and reintegrate Ukrainian children stolen by Russia. Thank you, ministers, for your leadership. I would also like to acknowledge the personal work of their majesties, your personal work. And as a Ukrainian Canadian, I want to thank you very much for your personal interest and your personal activities in the support of families and children in Ukraine. Now it's my pleasure to welcome the ambassador from Ukraine, Ambassador Blahodnyk, who is rapidly becoming not just an ambassador, but a real ambassador and a friend to the podium. Rodrigo.
Your Majesties, Vice Prime Minister Busch, Minister Anand, senators, members of parliament, ambassadors, representatives of the Ukrainian community, distinguished guests. I will be delivering the remarks on behalf of the head of the presidential office that we have just received a couple of hours prior to this event. It's a distinct honor to address you today during this important state visit of their Majesties King Carl XVI's Gustaf and Queen Silvia of Sweden. I extend my deepest thanks to Canada and Sweden for convening this crucial event and for your unwavering support. Together we stand firm in Ukraine's fight for freedom and independence. For over 3 years, our nations have forged a genuine strategic partnership, bolstering Ukraine's ability to defend itself against aggression. Despite relentless attacks, Ukraine demonstrates extraordinary courage and resilience, from our soldiers on the front lines to our citizens at home. However, Russia's terror campaign persists. These crimes against humanity underscore the critical importance of international solidarity. Canada and Sweden's support is not just aid, it's a lifeline. The Partnership Fund for Resilient Ukraine exemplifies how joint efforts deliver real impact on our people. We urge our partners to continue and strengthen this support. Ukraine needs it now more than ever, be it in energy security, infrastructure protection, or the care of our veterans. We are committed to expanding rehabilitation centers and establishing a comprehensive reintegration programs. The Ukrainian people will never forget those who stand with us during this trial. As winter approaches, Russia intensifies its attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, attempting to deprive our people of warmth and light. Yet Ukraine faces this challenge with unwavering determination and unity. We are deeply grateful for the vital contributions from Canada and Sweden to the Ukraine Energy Support Fund and to the Pearl Initiative. True resilience means building a strong, competitive Ukraine. Despite the devastation, we see signs of recovery. Our path is clear: to defend our nation, build back better, and ensure a future defined by growth and opportunities. As we observe Universal Children's Day, we are reminded that every child deserves to grow up in safety. Russia's war has violated this fundamental right through death, suffering, and the illegal deportation of Ukrainian children. As of today, 664 Ukrainian children have been killed by the Russian Federation. We commend Canada for co-leading the international coalition for the return of Ukrainian children, and Her Majesty Queen Silvia and Mrs. Fox-Carney for their leadership. Ukrainian children must return home, unconditionally and without delay. The key to Ukraine's victory lies in the unity of our society, our culture, identity, and citizenship, values Russia seeks to destroy. Our vision is clear: a free and democratic state built on the principles shared by EU and NATO members. With your continued support, we will not only defend Ukraine, but build a stronger, freer, and more resilient nation. Thank you for your attention. Glory to Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!
Thank you, Ambassador.